Hey Star Trek fans, here we are, the end of Discovery's third season. I'm Dan Gunther and you're watching the Disco Deep Dive, where I take a look at the Easter eggs, canon connections, and continuity bits from Star Trek Discovery. Today's episode, the season finale, That Hope Is You, Part 2. Warning as usual for spoilers. This video assumes you have seen the entirety of Discovery's third season. Consider yourselves warned. The holographic Gormaganders, or space whales, make a return appearance in this episode. However, the Kieth's computer refers to them as a species of cosmozoan. The term cosmozoan refers to space-dwelling organisms and was first used in the Star Trek novels, namely the Star Trek Titan novel Orion's Hounds by author Christopher L. Bennett. There have been many cosmozoans featured throughout Star Trek's history, including the jellyfish-like lifeforms in TNG's Encounter at Farpoint, the space-dwelling organisms in Galaxy's Child, Gom-2 from the episode Tin Man, the crystalline entity from Datalore and Silicon Avatar, the nebular creature from Voyager's The Cloud, and the lifeform from Lower Decks' Much Ado About Boimler. 2 episodes prior, we saw that Burnham, Culber, and Saru took on appearances different from their own when they transported into the holographic environment aboard the Kieth. Similarly, both Adira and the now visible Grey find their outward appearance changed from their normal look. Adira appears as a Zahian. We've previously seen 2 Zahians, Mihani Ika Halika Po in the Short Treks episode Runaway, and the Discovery episodes Such Sweet Sorrow Parts 1 and 2, as well as Daj's boyfriend Kaler in the premiere episode of Star Trek Picard, Remembrance. As Discovery tries to shoot her way clear of the Federation fleet and the shields surrounding Federation headquarters, the familiar TOS sound effect of phaser fire can be heard. Presumably, their phasers have been upgraded to 32nd century specs, but they sure sound old school. When Book refuses to provide Osyra with the information she demands, Zara quips that everyone eventually sings like an Alcorian Sorrowhawk. The Sorrowhawk of Alcor 4 has been mentioned once before by the character of Craft in the Short Treks episode Calypso. The artificial intelligence that calls herself Zora even plays the sound of the Sorrowhawk for Craft in that episode. If Book does eventually sing like the Sorrowhawk, it turns out that he would actually sound quite lovely. While a number of crew members have been conspicuously absent over the past few episodes, I'm looking at you, Linus and Nilsson. There's been a quiet new addition to the bridge crew. Lieutenant Aina, who seems to have taken Lieutenant Nilsson's position on the bridge. Lieutenant Aina is played by actor Avea Blackwell, who, interestingly enough, has previously appeared as several characters of the Osnolus species, including the often-seen Discovery Bridge Lieutenant appearing throughout the 3 seasons, as well as Captain Rama, seen in the episode Scavengers. In the previous episode, Commander Burnham sent a distress call to Ni'Var. In response, the planet has sent a fleet to aid in the retaking of the Discovery. While we don't get a great look at the starships that make up the fleet, it's interesting to get even a glimpse at what Romulan/Vulcan ships look like in this century. In many ways, Burnham reminds me a great deal of another Starfleet officer who was considered a maverick in his time, Captain James T. Kirk. When Zara presents Burnham with what he calls a no-win situation, Burnham retorts that she doesn't believe in those. This was a nice callback to Kirk's refusal to accept a no-win scenario, first mentioned in Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, and also referenced in the 2009 Star Trek film. Later, while fighting Osyra in Discovery's data core, Burnham employs an unorthodox fighting move that seems to come right out of the Kirk Fu manual, throwing her entire body at Osyra, seemingly unconcerned with how or where she herself will land. This is right out of Kirk's playbook, and could be considered one of his signature moves. In a coded message over the Discovery's shipwide communications channel, Burnham recalls an incident from last year in which she and Tilly shared a bottle of synthahol in one of Discovery's warp nacelles. This opens up a possible error that we explored in a previous episode of Season 3, in which it was discussed that synthahol didn't exist in the 23rd century aboard Federation starships. Unfortunately, since both this episode and the episode in which Discovery arrives in this time both take place in the year 3189, it's unlikely that last year would refer to anything other than a time before Discovery left the 23rd century, making this an unexplained continuity error. In this episode, we get a glimpse of the interior of one of the USS Discovery's warp nacelles. This is not the first time we've seen the inside of the warp nacelle of a starship. The first was in the TNG Season 7 episode Eye of the Beholder. The view of the nacelle in this episode bears a significant resemblance to what we saw in TNG. Did you recognize the actor who played the child version of Su'Kal? No worries if you didn't, it's completely understandable. He was played by none other than David Benjamin Tomlinson, frequent performer on Star Trek Discovery, probably best known for his portrayal of Linus, the often seen but recently absent Saurian lieutenant. We get another brief reference to the story behind Book's name. Apparently, it was the name of a mentor that played a significant role in his life. We learned a few episodes ago that Cleveland Booker is not his original name, and it seems that he took on the name from this unseen mentor. Reappearing in this episode of Discovery are representatives of Trill and Ni'Var. Leader Pav of Trill, played by Karen Robinson, and President Turina, played by Tara Rosling, both appear in this episode as the worlds of the Federation begin the process of coming back together. Pav previously appeared in the episode Forget Me Not, while Turina was featured in Unification 3. Also returning in this episode is actor Adil Hussein playing the character of Sahil, the Federation liaison from the season premiere That Hope Is You Part 1. I was overjoyed to see his return here and his commissioning as a lieutenant in Starfleet, and I am so glad that his character has not been forgotten. The greeting he gives Burnham is the Namaste, and is a traditional greeting in Hinduism and a sign of great respect. At the end of this episode, the initial premise of the entire Star Trek Discovery series is finally realized when Burnham is promoted to captain and takes command of the USS Discovery. From the very first episode of the series, The Vulcan Hello, the possibility of Burnham's captaincy has been a central idea of the series, and it is wonderful to finally see it realized here. Here's an interesting behind-the-scenes tidbit. When the final bridge scene was being filmed, Tilly wore a Command Red uniform, indicating that she was likely posted to the first officer position of Discovery. However, the color of her uniform was altered digitally in post-production, giving her a Sciences blue uniform. According to the producers, this was done so as not to box the writers in as far as Tilly's position next season. It remains to be seen what her position on Discovery is, and if she is not the first officer, then who is? Also, with regards to her rank, on the Positively Trek podcast, I mistakenly interpreted the double bars on her collar as an indication that she has been promoted to the rank of lieutenant. However, upon closer examination, it appears that the double bars are consistent on everyone's uniform and is not an indication of rank. Therefore, without a clear look at her comm badge, it remains to be seen if Tilly is still an ensign or if she has been promoted. Tilly states that the Discovery is to rendezvous with a mining vessel, Coloma. The Coloma would seem to have been named for Coloma, California, a site that sparked the California Gold Rush when James W. Marshall discovered gold there. And finally, the music played over the closing credits of this episode is an arrangement of the original Star Trek theme by Alexander Courage. This arrangement has been heard before over the closing credits of Star Trek Discovery, in particular a season finale, and it's wonderful to hear it again and is a lovely homage to the origins of Star Trek. As is the wonderful Gene Roddenberry quote that displays just before the closing credits. This entire season and its message of connection has been a terrific bit of relief from the hardships of the past year. So thank you so much to the producers, the cast, and the crew of Star Trek Discovery for a wonderful season. I really don't think I could have gotten through this year without you. Thank you so very much. Well, those were all of the Easter eggs that I found for the season finale of Star Trek Discovery, That Hope Is You Part 2. And that's it for the entire third season. I hope you've really enjoyed my deep dives, and yeah, I don't know when Star Trek is going to be coming back as far as televised Star Trek goes, so not sure when these will resume, but rest assured there are lots of videos still to come on Kertrats Productions. I will be doing lots of different videos, including book reviews, product reviews, and some other interesting ideas for some video essay type videos that I have coming up. So I really hope you enjoy those. Stick around for them. Subscribe if you haven't already. I promise the content will not dry up. There is much more to come. Thank you so much, of course, for watching, and thank you to the Patreon supporters for all of your help in bringing these videos to you. I could not do it without you. I truly appreciate your help. To everyone else, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.